Mayuran, one of the biggest stories this week has undoubtedly been the Trump lawsuit against the BBC. Donald Trump has said that he will be proceeding with that despite the apology that the BBC gave him. They refused to compensate him, of course. Here's what he had to say on Air Force One.
What BBC did, nobody would even think a thing like that was done. They actually changed the words coming out of my mouth.
So the BBC has apologised and retracted the report, but they say they won't pay any compensation.
Well, we'll sue them. We'll sue them for anywhere between $1 billion and $5 billion, probably sometime next week.
I mean, no small change. What is the feeling over there, Mayuran? Are people cheering on Trump? Is there a lot of love for the BBC over this mistake that they say they made?
Well, I think there is a lot of love for Trump over this, and they do feel like there's been a massive injustice. And I think we feel ashamed of the BBC, at least a lot of us do on the right. And this is the first hard evidence of the BBC and their lack of impartiality that we've always sensed in the background. And the thing to understand is that the BBC is not like the outsiders. It is taxpayer funded. And as a result of that taxpayer funded, because they don't have to face the free markets, they've become complacent, they've become arrogant, and they've used the platform to pontificate their progressive ideology. And what we see is that in the BBC, I don't think there is remorse, even though they've been caught red-handed. BBC journalists are still trying to call this a far-right conspiracy. And the thing I want to make clear is that there is something in Britain called the silent majority, which is the direct consequence of the BBC, because the BBC holds the reins of the Overton window. Because of their progressive agenda, they restrict debate, they restrict discussion of what is acceptable. And that leads to real life consequences like the grooming gang scenario, which has really stained our country. And the BBC, they don't necessarily, although they do commit some misinformation, what they really do is they censor by omission. It's what they don't report that is the real scandal. I mean, I don't mind the BBC talking about, you know, the climate change and the world is burning because of the, you know, increasing temperatures, as long as they talk about net zero and the deindustrialization and the expensive energy bills. I don't mind them talking about diversity being our strength, as long as they talk about mass immigration and the fracturing of our society. I don't mind them criticising the IDF, as long as they talk about Hamas as a terrorist organisation and the radicalisation of much of the Palestinian people. You know, we have a news organisation called GB News, which is doing enormously well, better than the BBC in terms of the ratings. Why? Because they represent the silent majority, and their success is a direct consequence of the failure of the BBC and the lack of impartiality that they demonstrate.
Rita.
Well, on that institutional bias, is this lawsuit finally going to do something about, because you're right, it's not just on Donald Trump, it's everything. It's from the trans issue to covering the Middle East. I think it was just in recent days, this clip went viral of the BBC talking about male breastfeeding, or the milk that a man who is breastfeeding may produce is as good as one made by a mother. I mean, it was just such a nonsensical activist claim that was presented as newsworthy, and they selected that bit of research to share with their audience.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that what Trump's legal endeavours will do is, look, it's a shame. The British public are going to have to pay out for this. I'm going to have to pay out for this if he wins his case and funding the whole legal challenge. But what I hope this uncovers is all the other unbiases. And Trump, in a recent interview with Bev Turner on GB News, he basically pointed out that he wanted to do this because he wanted to uncover things like like what you just mentioned, the trans bias as well. The fact that, you know, we've had a Supreme Court ruling that says a woman is a biological fact. A woman cannot have a penis. Yet the BBC still peddles this nonsense over and over again. And I wonder how many other videos have they spliced, have they spun in different ways. And I would hope that this Trump investigation and this legal action might uncover more and more bias, because the BBC has a rot inside of it. It's systemic, it's pervasive, and it needs to be taken care of.
Mayuran Senthilnathan, always great to chat to you. And who knows if there is a 2027 election? Will you be running for reform, or do you not know yet?
I will put myself forward for sure, definitely.
Fantastic. We wish you all the best.